what's happening, because a lot of shows are talking about Sean Combs now, we're putting this in a different light because we're going to discuss and have on this show. Her name is Nancy Grace, and she was an attorney. She's somebody who I have liked over the years, and she kind of put a different spin on this case. She's going to have a panel, and the panel she has will be talking about the Puff Daddy, the P. Diddy, the case. Some attorneys are going to talk about if any of this is true. They're going to talk about the documents. Now, I've had a look at the documents, and they're big, the accusations as far as Diddy. But he has a lot of things to deal with. And we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk when Nancy is finished as far as taking some breaks. But we're going to dwell in this and make comments as they're making their statements. So here's Nancy, and here's what we know so far.
This is what we know happened. Listen to Sydney Sumner, Crime Online.
On Monday, large teams of law enforcement led by Homeland Security investigators raided 3 homes belonging to Sean Diddy Combs in Los Angeles and Miami as part of a sex trafficking investigation stemming from accusations leveled against Combs in 5 separate lawsuits brought against him. The latest suit, filed in February by music producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones, details frequent drug use, a shooting, and several accounts of sex assault while working with Combs on the Love album.
That's what we know right now, but there's more. And I can tell you this much. When the feds roll up in armored vehicles wearing Kevlar, that's not good for you. That's not good at all. We're hearing a lot of whining this morning by the defense about, oh, they messed up the inside of his house. Boo-hoo. Listen to Dave Mack, Crime Online.
In the 73-page document, Jones claims that Combs forced him to solicit sex workers and perform sex acts with them as Combs looked on. Jones also alleges the rapper threw parties he called freak-offs, during which underage girls and sex workers were given laced drinks and assaulted. Combs' son Justin, producer Stevie J, and associate Brendan Paul allegedly supplied the women and drugs for the parties. The suit goes on to say that Combs' access to major celebrities, athletes, and even British royals such as Prince Harry gave him and his followers legitimacy.
You're seeing the cover of Rolling Stone with Combs on the front of it in his then new album, No Way Out. It says he's the new king of hip hop. There you see, that's when he was going under the moniker Puff Daddy. With me, an all-star panel to make sense of what we know right now. But first, straight out to Kayla Brantley joining us, investigative reporter, dailymail.com. Kayla, thank you for being with us. Tell me what happened, because we saw simultaneous raids. A lot has been made of that. Hold on just a second, Kayla. Let me go to Nima Rahmani joining us, high-profile lawyer and, more importantly, former federal prosecutor, a president of the West Coast Trial Lawyers Association and author of Harvard to Hashtag. Nima, thank you for being with us.
So we're going to have a panel. We're going to talk about the Sean Combs sex trafficking. And then you can decide whether you believe in that. And so also throughout the show, again, we're going to do a J-Lo Diddy timeline. The allegations timeline, when did it start? And some of the people who are in his life. A lot of celebrities have been included in this. One of the ones that really disappoints me is Cuba Gooding Jr. He's had a couple of allegations over the years as far as sexual assault, and now he's being brought up in the Combs situation as somebody who was really sex trafficking. You wonder how much of this, because Sean Combs is kind of being called a Jeffrey Epstein of the hip hop world. And you have Sean Combs, of course. You have Cuba Gooding, of course. And we're going to talk about some of the people where he is associated with. So stay tuned for that. This is a very interesting case. It's a very sad case, but this is just the start of it.
A lot has been made and a lot of whining and crying because there were multiple raids that went down simultaneously. Boo hoo. The reason that happens is so when you get raided in LA, you can't call your peeps in Miami and go, quick, 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 hide 1, 2, 3, and 4, destroy 5, 6, 7, and 8. And P.S. run for the hills as if you had seen a monster. That's why it's got to be very carefully orchestrated and timed, very organized to go down at the same time for that very reason, Nima.
Well, Nancy, that's exactly right. And the raid in Los Angeles took place about a mile from where I'm sitting right now. I live close to Diddy's home. And, I also know Aaron Dyer. I used to work with him. I respect him, but I think he's making that argument for the court of public opinion more than the courtroom. And you're right. There's 3 reasons why federal agents go in and they go aggressively. One, there's always a threat of violence, and Diddy reportedly has a lot of weapons, and this is a large
Hold
house.
on. Nima, look at your screen. You are seeing video that our friend Harvey Levin at TMZ gave us. They somehow managed to get in there and get video of Diddy's home, Combs's home, after the raid. And yeah, it looks like a storm hit it. Next. Go ahead, Nima.
This is par for the course. This is normal. Agents need to make sure that no one flees the jurisdiction. Evidence isn't destroyed. That's why the raids are executed simultaneously. When individuals are removed from the home, they're cuffed, they're detained. No one was arrested, but Diddy was treated just like any other criminal defendant or target of an investigation when these search warrants are executed.
Wow, if you look at that as they went through the house, TMZ, and look at that house, they're complaining, Puff Daddy's people or Sean Combs people, that their house is a mess. But I guess if you're looking for things and you're with the authorities, you have to tear up everything because money, drugs, it could be anywhere in his particular house or mansion. So, you know what, it wouldn't have been messed up, the house, if there hadn't been accusations of drugs and any type of paraphernalia.
Guys, what do you expect? The HSI Homeland Security investigators to be the Minute Maid and clean up after a search? Yeah, that's not happening. Guys, in the last hours, a lot of whining and complaining and switching of tail and gnashing of teeth because the feds, quote, left a mess in Diddy's mansions. You know what? With multiple, somebody spent a lot of money on shoes. Guys, this is from TMZ. Whoa, hey, I'm taking all that straight to the bank. I'm putting that on eBay, and I'm making about $1 million. This is Combs's home after the search. Hey, I'm really surprised all the clothes are still hanging on the racks.
Wow, look at that. Man, there's a lot of clothes. I wonder if all those are Diddy's or some of his people. So interesting thing is after the feds come and do that, who cleans it up?
To me, that's preferential treatment because on searches that I have been on and conducted, nothing is left unturned. Not a thing. Every pocket, every coat, every drawer, under every bed, furniture has to be dislodged. You've got to find out if there are secret compartments anywhere because guess what? Very often there are. It's amazing what people will do to hide contraband or evidence. What evidence am I talking about? I'm talking about videos, potential videos of underage girls and boys in the middle of sex acts. Now, number one, an underage child, some jurisdictions under 18, some under 16, some under 15, cannot consent to sex activity. So even if they appear to be willing in a video, does anybody remember R. Kelly, for Pete's sake, where he urinated on a teen girl? Yeah, that's not consensual. I don't care what she said at the time.
Yeah, totally disgusting. Let's not forget R. Kelly. We've had a lot of people. Bill Cosby with the older people.
Videos that could easily be hidden, even if they are in physical form. For all I know, they're just on a computer. That's why every computer, every laptop, every phone, every iPad, everything has to be seized. And you know what I'm waiting on? Nima Ramani, I'm waiting on that return. Explain what is a return, Ramani?
So before we go back to that and talk about what a return is, there he goes right there. Sean, Puff Daddy. Let's go about his names and the reinvention of this guy. So Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Love, and back to Puffy. He was born, though, as Sean Combs, born in Harlem, New York on November 4th, 1969, to a model and teacher, that's his mother, and an Air Force father, who was later shot and killed when Sean was only 2 years old, so he didn't know his dad. Sean Combs rose to fame locally. He was a dancer and concert promoter, still kind of pretty much is. In 1993, he founded Bad Boy Records. He's gotten, wow, this is interesting, 3 Grammy Awards, created the Sean John clothing line, and even created the reality MTV show, Making the Band. And he was certified by Forbes as a billionaire. So Puff Daddy, we know him as Puff Daddy. Some might think the name comes for his penchant for smoking cannabis or cigars, but no, it came when he was a kid. He earned the name Puffy early on as a kid because he says he would huff and puff when he was angry, kind of like that video we saw at the top of the show. Using the name Puff Daddy, he recorded his first raps in 1997. His first song, Can't Nobody Hold Me Down, one of my favorites, it hit #1 on Billboard's 100 and spent 29 weeks on the chart. Wow. So from Puff Daddy, he became P. Diddy. Several years later, after the notorious B.I.G. was murdered, which came a little bit after Tupac, he changed his name to the abbreviated P. Diddy. Now, that same year, he began acting in prominent roles and became a movie star. I didn't know that he was in Monsters Ball. So the only studio LP released under the name P. Diddy is A Saga Continues, which hit #2 and was released on July 10th, 2001. Wow. So after that, he said, I'm changing my name again. Summer of 2005, he became just Diddy. So he says sometimes having too many changes gets people confused. And he found out that there was somebody else named P. Diddy. So he kind of had to change it, and he just started calling himself Diddy. And then more changes. He became Puff Daddy again. Goes back and forth. Wow. And finally, his new name is Love, or you can call him Brother Love. He says he was only kidding, but when he was on the Jimmy Kimmel show, he decided and told him, I was just kidding. Just call me Love, Brother Love. So do these name changes have something to do with identity crisis? How does he have all this time to do some of the things he's done over the years? We're going to continue, and we're going to learn more about, wow, what a return is.
Ronnie.
So there's a search warrant and an application, and when the search warrant is executed, there's a return that's filed with the court, and it identifies all the property that's been seized. And like you said, Nancy, what they're looking for here is evidence of sex trafficking and the production of child pornography. reportedly, if you believe these civil lawsuits, not only were they sex acts, they were recorded. That's a crime, both in terms of the act and the recording. And we're talking about mandatory minimum sentences. So it's just probably going to be a matter of days before Diddy is indicted. An indictment is unsealed. So this is all going to become public.
Wait. Let me see, Romani. Put him up. Romani. Again, you're reading like, you sound like you're reading out of the Farmer's Almanac about the crop report for next year. Listen, Sean P. Combs has been targeted. Now, everybody keeps saying he's not the target. That's BS, because these are his homes on two sides of the country. The people at his homes were put in handcuffs during the search, and that is SOP, standard operating procedure, so nobody gets shot. There's a lot of whining going on about that too. But in a home where you are looking for guns, you do not leave the inhabitants free to grab a gun and start shooting. So stop whining about that too. Combs is facing an indictment. I'm agreeing with you. This is a big deal. We're not reading the crop report for 2025. This tells me nobody is above the law, not even Combs.
Oh, no one is above the law. And really, the chickens are coming home to roost. This really started in November when ex-girlfriend Cassie filed that bombshell lawsuit, and she spilled the tea. And obviously, Diddy settled it the following day, but really, it was too little, too late. Here's someone that was in a 10-year relationship with Diddy. And once she filed, she encouraged other alleged victims to come forward, one after another. And if you believe the reports, some of those victims are already cooperating with law enforcement. And we know that there's enough probable cause because a federal judge signed off on these two search warrants. So it's going to be interesting to see what evidence shows up in that return, what federal agents pull from those electronics, because that digital footprint, Nancy, I think that's going to be the evidence that puts Diddy away.
I think you're right, because you can discount, I can't, but some people discount eyewitnesses and victims. But when you've got it on digital proof, it's hard to argue with that dynamite combination. You were just seeing Cassie Ventura, and she's not some parasite tick hanging on like some hoochie mama that's latched on to Sean P. Diddy Combs. She's a star in her own right. You saw her on album covers. One was A Long Way to Go. One was Deceased. There she is right there with Combs. Beautiful and talented. Now, hold on. I want to go straight out to Kella Brantley joining us, investigative reporter, dailymail.com. Kella, again, thank you for being with us. It did all get kicked off with Cassie Ventura's complaint. Explain.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So Cassie was with Combs for about 10 years. And, you know, people are saying she's the one that started this off. And if she hadn't started this off, would she have continued to be around him? It's an interesting case. And some of the allegations, excuse me, as far as Sean Combs, again, that he sexually abused people, that he had people do sexual acts in front of him, that when people wanted to get away, they couldn't. Some people were scared as far as their career is concerned. Originally, she wanted to leave and said that she was going to let people know about what happened with her, and she wanted money. And Diddy said nope the first time. Diddy said nope the second time. And as soon as she filed those papers, he said, okay, I'll give you, and we're assuming about $30 million. Do not talk about it, and I'll give you the money. So she said yes, she took the money. She went to the media and said, we took care of it. He went to the media and he said it's taken care of. But it makes you think too, did she leak it out after she got the money, or did the money just shut her up? A lot of people are wondering that because when you're fighting for something, sometimes money is not an issue. But boy, after she talked, he gave her money. It was settled, and they didn't talk about anything again. And now it's all over, being in the media. So let's continue with the Cassie situation.
Yeah, that was back in November, Nancy. Cassie Ventura, they dated for 10 years. She was actually 19 years old and he was 37 at the time.
Wow, 19 years old, and he was 37 at the time, almost R. Kelly-ish. And they were together 10 years, so 29 and 40 or something like that. Doesn't seem bad right there, but she was 19, barely an adult.
When they began their relationship.
Okay, whoa,
Now, she
whoa,
called-
wait, Kayla. Let me allow that to soak in.
Yeah.
She was 19 and he was 37. Did you just
Yeah.
say that?
Nearly 20 years her senior. Yep.
Go ahead.
And so
not
she
judging
called the
yet.
relationship. Not yet, but she called the relationship abusive, controlling. She said that Diddy forced her to have sex with male prostitutes and watched and recorded it. And in addition to that, she said that he forced her to do drugs and so many horrific details there. And that went on for 10 years. And that it all culminated in 2018 when she tried to leave him. And she says that he came and raped her. Now, this is exactly the catalyst that sparked all of the other lawsuits. Now he's facing 5 lawsuits with a lot of similar stories from these alleged victims.
Kayla Brantley, investigative reporter, dailymail.com, is exactly correct. New York, could I please see the copy we have? Look at this thing. It's huge.
So yeah, I looked at that, and it is big. It's very graphic. It's pretty much too graphic. There are pictures in there and everything accusing Sean Combs. And if people think, he's innocent, the media is just trying to go after him, society is trying to go after him. You read this, and I said, with a couple people accusing him of certain things and his back record, it'll make you think, okay? Too many people are saying this for everybody to be lying.
But significantly, what we've got highlighted for you, Cassie Ventura claims Combs Ventura in her home when she tried to leave him. Often punched, beat, kicked, stomped her, resulting in bruises, burst lips, black eyes, and bleeding. Blew up a man's car after Diddy Combs learned the man was romantically interested in Miss Ventura, forced her to engage in sex acts with male sex workers while and filming the encounter. Okay, yeah, that is a video. If it can be found, this jury will absolutely see Combs and filming the encounters.
Yeah, and I heard that part, which of course is sick, but then you've also heard about some people who do this kind of sick stuff, filming things like this. Why would you film this? And like I said, people love Diddy for a long time. But if Diddy's been doing this while he's being loved and getting other people to love each other, which technically they're not, then why hasn't anybody known about this? Why hasn't there been him supposedly being questioned over the years?
Of Miss Ventura being forced into sex acts with male sex workers, that he ran out of his apartment with a firearm in pursuit of a rival industry exec, demanded Miss Ventura carry his firearm in her purse, and introduced Miss Ventura to a lifestyle of excessive alcohol.
Recordings just got better. Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce.
Jay, when those things come up, you're watching Sean Combs, Come On Home, on Keeping It Honest with yours truly, Anthony Parker.
and required her to procure illicit prescriptions to satisfy his own addictions. I'm reading directly from her lawsuit. Now, remember, that is a private lawsuit. That is not a public government document. So you got to take everything that an ex claims against another ex with a box of salt. But wait a minute. Isn't it true, Kayla Brantley, that she sued him for about $30 million and they settled? Combs actually
They
paid
settled
her off to get rid of the
They
lawsuit?
settled. Yep, they settled the next day. As
Yeah, they settled the next day. But don't you think, okay, if you get hurt, there may be other people, if you've been doing these things for decades maybe, that are going to come after you too because she did get money.
soon as the lawsuit was filed, the news broke. The next day, they settled.
So let's look at this. There's the timeline right there. Giving you a chance to read this. All right, and that's this recent timeline.
The lawsuit for an undisclosed amount. She was seeking $30 million, but we don't know how much they actually settled for. Both of them came out with statements saying that they wanted to settle things privately. But in Diddy's statement, he absolutely did not admit any fault. He said that this was handled privately and wanted to move on. He called the allegations baseless. And we've seen that pattern just now with the raids on his house.
Yeah, you're right. That's the same kind of thing they're claiming right now, Kayla Brantley. Guys, this is just one of multiple lawsuits filed against Combs. Sean P. Diddy Combs, also known as Diddy, also known as Puffy.
So this is interesting because we really don't know what we do know. And I'm talking about this thing is buffering. We do know that he's done some stuff, but will people stand up and for the benefit of not being maybe hurt, talk about this? So let's talk about some of the timeline of the accusations. 1990, starts his music industry career as an intern. And he worked under Andre Harrell. So that's interesting. I've heard of that guy's name. My background is in radio and some hip hop radio years ago. So some of these people I've heard of. But back then, 1990, Combs was probably an innocent guy. This one, which I think isn't innocent, according to a November 2023 lawsuit, Combs and the R&B singer Aaron Hall allegedly sexually assaulted an unnamed victim and a friend after a music industry event, then beat her several days later when confronted. Wow, so you're talking about something in the 90s, and Aaron Hall was in a group called Guy. Don't know if that's true or not, but this is what's been said. 1991, according to a November 2023 lawsuit, Combs allegedly drugs, sexually assaults, and videotapes 19-year-old Joe Dickerson after going on a date with him. 1991. It's not too long after he started out being famous a little bit. 1993. After being fired from his duties at Uptown Records, Combs starts his own label, Bad Boy. This label starts the career of Craig Mack, the Notorious B.I.G., Mace, The Lox, Faith Evans, and more. And I wonder what Faith Evans has to say to this. 1996. Combs was found guilty of criminal misconduct for threatening a photographer from the New York Post with a gun. 1998. Combs starts throwing his annual Hamptons all-white parties that come to be known as so lavish and exclusive. He earns the rep of being a modern-day Gatsby. Wow. Guests range from music industry execs and actors to artists, real estate moguls, and sports team owners. So he's had everybody. Jeffrey Epstein had everybody. And I heard about the white parties. So you wonder, did all this start at the white parties? April 16th, 1998. Combs was arrested and charged with 2 felonies, second-degree assault and criminal mischief, in the beating of record executive Steve Stock, who says that Combs and 2 bodyguards beat him up with their fists, a telephone, a champagne bottle, and a chair. Wow. When Combs publicly apologizes, Stout asks for the charges to be dismissed. Combs reportedly pays him $500,000. The assault charge is dropped. That's interesting. And he is sentenced to 1 day of anger management classes. So again, is he puffy? Does he have a short fuse? Some people say so. December 27, 1999, Combs, along with then girlfriend Jennifer Lopez, let's not forget her, and rapper Shine, are arrested in relation to a shooting at Club New York. Combs is charged for weapons violations, but is ultimately acquitted. And we're going to talk about that. The J-Lo Combs situation. Remember, she was Jenny from the block. Is she one now that will talk about that? I don't know. But now, let's talk about the sex trafficking situation.
Profit. Shannon Henry, oh, by the way, you can find her at sassgo.org. Shannon, thank you for being with us. There are multiple lawsuits, 5 that I can think of, against Combs, all claiming sex assault and forcing the victims into sex acts. Now, that's one thing. 5 claims. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kayla Brantley, because I've got a ton of documents and information I'm trying to absorb. But here's the thing, Shannon Henry. When you have one victim, it's easy for the defense to say, that's a he say, she say. Like, what is that, the defense? It's a he say, she say. Of course it is. But when you have 2 victims, then 3, then 4, then 5, then is the jury supposed to believe they're all lying and he's the only one telling the truth? Actually, that worked in the Michael Jackson case, so it could work.
Wow, so that is interesting. But did it work in the Bill Cosby case? Did it work in the R. Kelly case? When people are saying they were sexually assaulted, to me, each case is separate, because you have had people that were lying just for money, but you also have had people that weren't lying, didn't want the money, and just wanted to tell the truth. The Deshaun Watson case, which was a buyout to the many people, over 20, who alleged that they were sexually assaulted by Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson. Most of those, in those situations, those ladies, they were paid money, and the cases were closed. I think there's only 2 left. So is it all about money? If somebody's accusing you, are you doing things because, meaning you're paying out the accuser just to shut them down, or because you're tired of hearing about them? But make no mistake, anybody that alleges sexual assault, each case should be taken separately.
But typically in front of juries, a group of victims, such as in Harvey Weinstein, such as in Jeffrey Epstein,
Correct.
what do you such as Bill Cosby, what do you disbelieve the cadre of victims and choose to believe the defendant?
Right. We're seeing a pattern of abuse. We're seeing a pattern of violence. And we're seeing it over and over again from each of these people that are coming forward. And listen, he's an equal opportunity abuser, whether it was an 11th grader, a college student, or it was one of his chefs. So many people have come forward, even the music producer, to complain about his behavior and the trafficking that is going on. And let's call it what it is. It is trafficking. It's a $150 billion industry. It is abuse and assault and stalking on steroids, and it's the second most profitable illegal business in the United States, and he's an active part of it.
Wow, so that is interesting. The high stakes as far as dealing with these sex situations, there's a lot of money to be had in there. And sadly, people's lives are at stake.
You know what you're leaving out of your formula, Shannon?
Tell
And
me.
everything you just said is correct, by the way. I remember my first human trafficking case. Then it was called statutory rape. The girl had just turned 14. I'm getting chills on my arm right now. And I looked and I looked and I looked for her. Couldn't find her. I went out every day. And I remember it was cold outside and I was straight out of law school. I had no money. I had the thinnest coat ever. It was so cold. And we would look and look and look. Finally, I get a call at like 6 a.m. in the morning. I race to the location. It's a flop house, then on Stewart Avenue, which was the avenue at the time for sex trade and drugs. And I went in where they said the girl was. I looked at there were like 5 women. I came out like, there's not a girl in there. Why did you get me here? I need to be at the courthouse. And they went, go back in. Look at the one in the white boots. I went back in. Shannon, this was a little girl. She had on the fake hair, the fake eyelashes, the bustier, the height, the mini skirt, if such as it was. It didn't look anything like a 14-year-old little girl at all. She looked like a 35-year-old drug addict. Long story short, she had been passed around and used and taken from one place to the next and had, 15 to 20 men rape her a day. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. And if these allegations are true, Shannon Henry, Combs is no better than those two pimps.
And I would even beg everyone to see too that there is an institution, a brand.
And you're watching Keeping It Honest with yours truly, Anthony Parker Alexander, as we
brand, if you will, of complicity that he's created around him too with his, I call them bodyguards. That's
we have little technical problems throughout this, but we are talking about Sean Combs.
what the industry calls them. People that have watched this go on and been complicit in all of it and enabled it in ways by not acting and not responding on behalf of the victim and what they're seeing in front of them.
Well, what do you think so far? Should you be tried for recent crimes, or should you be tried for crimes that took place maybe a couple decades ago? We're talking about the potential sex trafficking allegations against Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Sean Combs. But does he have a history of criminal allegations which people just aren't talking about? For example, in March 2000, the first season of Making a Band, it airs, and it became very popular. He created bands like Day 26, never heard about that, Danity Kane, and they all were signed to Bad Boy Records. March 26, 2001. In a lawsuit, local TV host Roger Mills sues Combs, accusing him of assault, false imprisonment, destruction of property, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and a civil conspiracy. In exchange, where Combs' entourage roughed him up and destroyed his camera. Wow. As we have yet to be served with this complaint, we are unable to comment on specific allegations. Okay. So were they ever served with that complaint? That's just one of the allegations that we've been reading many. July 6, 2004, we're only in 2000, early 2000s. He had an all-white party. marking a new level of fortune and bragging for the mogul. Yeah, you got this white party with politicians, entertainers. 2005, Cassie and him, they met for the first time, and he signed her to his label. She was 19, he was 37. So I like this. This is interesting. I don't know about I like it, but she signed a 10-album deal with Bad Boy Entertainment. Her debut single, Me and You, I remember that, is released, and her self-titled album drops the same year. According to a November 23 lawsuit, the vicious cycle of abuse began here. So she was 19 then. She alleges years of physical, psychological, and emotional abuse. She claims Combs forced her to purchase and take illegal drugs like cocaine, ketamine, and ecstasy, that he filmed her as he forced her to participate in sex with male sex workers in multiple cities for his own pleasure, in a practice he called freak-offs, and that he beat her on many occasions in retaliation for talking to other men, often with witnesses present. So where these witnesses are they scared to say, hey, this is what he did? Or were they a part of this too? Wow. March 2007, Gerald Ratchenzer, he claimed that Combs punched him, punched his girlfriend, and tried to spit on another woman outside Teddy's nightclub. Wow. Benjamin Brathman says, it's just another example of an opportunist seeking to fabricate a lawsuit based on a flat-out lie to try to take advantage of Mr. Combs' celebrity status. So they're saying that it was a lie that was made up. 2007, May 11, Making a Band co-star Lorianne Gibson alleges that he threatened her with a chair while New Edition's Michael Bevins held her in place. That's a big allegation because New Edition, Michael Bevins. Has this been proven? Don't know. But again, man, his attorney says it's just another person trying to take advantage. And in November 2020 or 2023, Cassie claims all aspects of her life were controlled by either Mr. Combs or his management companies. So that's when she talked to him and tried to get him to give them the money. And he decided, I'm not going to until she filed the paperwork. And he said, okay, I'm going to get it done.
What's the difference between a service animal and an emotional support pet?
So you're watching. Again, keeping it honest with yours truly, Anthony Parker Alexander, as we talk about this Combs case, and we try to get both sides of the story. And it seems like one side is stacked against the other side. Which one's the truth? Okay, talking about the justice system? Well, we're trying to give it to you now.
The impetus was for this major search. And I'm telling you, to have HSI, Homeland Security investigators, roll up in front of Diddy's mansion and break in, they went armed, they went wearing body armor. They immediately subdued and handcuffed everyone in the home, as they should have, while simultaneously across the country, additional locations, venues connected to Sean P. Combs were searched and searched thoroughly. Take a listen to Sydney Sumner, Crime Online.
Before producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones' explosive lawsuit, 4 more alleged victims filed suit against Combs. The first came from an ex-girlfriend, R&B singer Cassandra Cassie Ventura. Ventura claims in addition to physical abuse occurring throughout their decade-long on and off relationship, Combs coerced her to participate in what he called freak-offs, which involved Ventura having sex with male sex workers while Combs watched and took videos of the encounter. Combs also allegedly broke into Ventura's home and raped her after she broke off their relationship in 2018. 3 other lawsuits followed Ventura's. Joy Dickerson Neal claims Combs drugged her at a 1991 dinner date and later recorded himself her. Liza Gardner's suit alleges that Combs and R&B singer Aaron Hall assaulted her and a friend at Hall's apartment when she was just 16 years old. An anonymous victim details a 2003 gang by Combs and 2 others at his New York studio. Combs settled Ventura's lawsuit just a day after it was filed. The remaining 4 complaints are still unresolved.
Wow. And as you heard me talk about some of the allegations, you also heard her talk about them too. All these allegations. Is he a bad boy? Is he one that, you might be scared of? We haven't finished. We're still going to talk about some of this and some of the allegations that took place years ago and why people are wondering about them now. So if you remember, we used to go with this one. There you go. We know who she is. We know who she is. Some people call her Jenny from the block. Remember her? What's been happening with her now? She hadn't been with him in years, but remember the times when they were together. And boy, they were together. They really look like a good couple. She's known for that dress. I think you guys remember her from there, even though she probably wanted to be here because she was young. So the timeline. Fatal. Let us not forget Fatal, because at one point she was with him. And was any of this going on? That's what I'm curious. They went together for a couple of years, but were any of this going on, this abuse, when she was around? So timeline, J-Lo and Diddy's relationship. So the pair met in 1999 when Diddy, he was known then as Puff Daddy, worked on Lopez's If You Had My Heart music video. Their relationship quickly started after that. In December 1999, the couple were arrested after they fled a New York nightclub where a shooting had taken place. Lopez's charges were immediately dropped, but Diddy was charged with bribery and gun possession. He was acquitted at trial. And I think after that, it was kind of iffy as far as those two. 2000, after the shooting incident, the pair appeared to date on and off again. They captured the world's attention in February of 2008 when they walked the Grammys and carpet with Lopez wearing her famous green Versace dress. No matter what, we all remember that dress. They looked like a good couple too. Then, a smooth couple. So that was in 2000. They provided another iconic couples moment in September that year, wearing matching all-white ensembles at the MTV Video Music Awards. 2001, the couple announced their split on Valentine's Day 2001. And according to ABC News, Diddy's publicist said Mr. Combs confirmed that he and his love, Jennifer Lopez, have in fact broken up. Mr. Combs is confirming this today as he wanted to put all the rumors surrounding their relationship to rest. At this difficult time, we ask that you respect his privacy. That last sentence, you could use that now too. Later, Lopez told Oprah Winfrey that she had ended the relationship because she knew she'd never have the life that she wanted with the rapper. Is she regretting this? She's with Ben again. She also hinted at infidelity on his part, amid speculation that he still had feelings for his ex, Kim Porter, who died in 2018. And it's also the year that she found love with Ben Affleck. So 2013, Lopez discussed her time with Diddy with Vibe magazine in 2013. I was in this relationship with Puff where I was totally crazy, crying, and going nuts. It really took my whole life in a tailspin, she said. She added, I can't remember right now, but I won't say it didn't happen. I never caught him, but I just knew. He said he was going to a club for a couple hours and to never come back that night. Wow. 2019. She reflected on what she calls the Puffy era in an interview with the Breakfast Club. The Puffy era was just kind of crazy, heightened time in my life. You know, Puffy and I both grew up in Bronx. On their initial attraction, she said, he had been in the music business and had all this success. I was just starting to make my first album when I met him. He became kind of a mentor to me at that moment. We had this kind of crazy, tumultuous relationship that ended in a bang. And she concluded, it was definitely a moment, but I felt like it was necessary. He was meant to be in my life at that moment to teach me what I needed to know about the music business, about what kind of artist I wanted to be in the music business. Wow. So you kind of wonder at one point, did they use each other? She wanted to get known. She wanted to kind of get known in the urban community, Jenny on the block. And did she get some things out of it that was good? Because as soon as that gun went down, and supposedly she's the one that had it, Combs is one that's never really been touched. And is it time for him to be touched? Is it time for him to just come back home? Is it? Do you know people like that who can be untouched and they get away with a lot of things, and it only takes one thing to where karma gets them back? Do you know people like that?
There you're seeing Sean Puffy Combs on Billboard, and you're seeing him on Rolling Stone. I mean, to Dr. John Della Torre, there he is on Forever. Estimated net worth over $1 billion. Dr. Della Torre, psychologist, mediator, who specializes in forensic psychology. Dr. Della Torre, thank you for being with us. You know, this is what everybody is asking me, okay? And the reason I care what anybody says is because who's going to be on that jury that's going to be seated one day? You can't wiggle out of a federal indictment. If that happens, we asked the defense attorney on, he's like, no way. But I hope he joins us. So, you know, a lot of talk about how he was targeted, how he's not the target, yet his home was targeted, and blah, blah, blah.
Blah, 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 she says. So while this is already supposedly taking place, and again, I'm going back to certain things so you can think about this. Recently and over the years, he's done a lot of charity. He's done a lot of good things, but can you do good and also be bad? And is this a form of guilt? I don't know. So Combs founded Daddy's House Social Programs, an organization to help inner city youth, in 1995. He also got the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And this Daddy's House, it includes tutoring, which is good, life skill classes, and annual summer camp. Wow. Along with Jay-Z, he pledged $1 million to help support victims of Hurricane Katrina in 2005 and donated clothing from his Sean John line to victims. He has also donated computers and hotels and books to New York schools. In 1998, he received the Golden Plate Award. Wow. In 2008, he was honored with a star in the Hollywood Hall of Fame. He received an honorary doctorate from Harvard in 2014. In 2016, he donated $1 million to Howard University to establish the Sean Combs Scholarship Fund to help students who are unable to pay their tuition. So will that happen again? In 2022, he announced during his BET Lifetime Achievement Award acceptance speech that he will be donating $1 million each to Howard University and Jackson State University. Wow. So if he's accused of all of this and it's proven, will BET take away his Lifetime Achievement Award? And this, again, has me think, how is this guy getting all these accolades when supposedly he's doing things that people may know about? How is he getting away with this? Why do we treat people who have so much power and ignore that they use this power for bad? Have we technically, like I said, put people in places where they're untouchable? And maybe he thought, suppose he was untouchable, and somebody said, you know what? It's your time now. But as I say again, come on home.
Way when to go now.
Okay, go ahead.
This is Brother Cornell West, and it has been my blessing and joy to be in such high quality conversation with Brother Anthony Parker of Keeping It Honest. Make sure you never miss his show.
Soundtrack comes out? If so, bump somebody. All right, thanks. I love you, man. Bye. I got my MTV out. Savage! I'm a savage! Oh! I'm a savage! Whatever I want, I'm going to get! Whatever I want, I have to get! Yes! What's next? What's the next? I gotta get it. I'm not gonna stay fucking down. I'm not gonna stay fucking lying there. I can't do that, man. I can't do that. What's next? Give me something else. What can't you do? I can do it. I can do anything.
Can't stop, won't stop. Wow. Absolute power. Do you hear about that? How many times do people have so much power that they don't know what to do with it? Man, power corrupts absolute power. Makes you think at one point, so many people who are doing some of the craziest things, that they start out innocent, and the more power that consumed them, the more they wanted to consume power. We're talking about the allegations, sexual allegations and lawsuits. And here's a timeline of this sexual assault accusation from when Cassie did it till today. November 16th, 2023, Cassie, Diddy's ex, accuses him of rape, sex trafficking, and domestic violence in a lawsuit. On November 16th, Cassie filed a lawsuit in New York against Diddy, whom she dated on again, off again from 2007 to 2018. In her complaint, she accused Diddy of raping and abusing her over the course of their decades-long relationship. Once she decided to fully end the relationship in September 2018 over dinner, she alleged that Diddy forced his way into her home and raped her. So what made her finally say, hey, I'm brave enough to get away? In a statement to People magazine, Combs' lawyer denied the allegations, which he called offensive and outrageous. Mr. Combs vehemently denies these offensive and outrageous allegations. Ms. Ventura's demand of $30 million under the threat of writing a damaging book about the relationship was unequivocally rejected as blatant blackmail. So did she want to make a book? Despite withdrawing her initial threat, Ms. Ventura has now resorted to filing a lawsuit riddled with baseless and outrageous lies, aiming to tarnish Mr. Combs' reputation and seeking a payday. So in response, Ventura's attorney said, Mr. Combs offered Ms. Ventura 8 figures to silence her and prevent the filing of this lawsuit. She rejected his efforts and decided to give a voice to all women who suffer in silence, Miss Ventura should be applauded for her bravery. But since she did get the money, can she still talk? November 17th, 2023, Diddy and Cassie settled the lawsuit. Wow. So from November 16th to November 17th, bam, settled the lawsuit. A day after Ventura filed the lawsuit, Diddy and the singer announced they resolved the claims in the lawsuit to their mutual satisfaction. How do you get satisfaction when you're claiming one day this guy rapes you and the next day he gives you money and you're good? How do you be good? The parties added that there would be no more further details publicly released about the terms of the agreement. You're complaining, you're trying to bring me down, here's some money. Shut up. You're rich now. Is that how it went? I have decided to resolve this matter amicably on terms that I have some level of control, she said in a statement. I want to thank my family, fans, and lawyers for their unwavering support. So what's the support? Tell your story, but if you get paid, don't tell your story. Combs added, we have decided to resolve this matter amicably. I wish Cassie and her family all the best. Wow. So Combs, a lawyer, he clarified his client's stance on the issue, telling people in a statement, just so we're clear, a decision to settle a lawsuit, especially in 2023, is in no way an admission of wrongdoing. Mr. Combs' decision to settle the lawsuit does not in any way undermine his flat-out denial of the claims. He is happy they got to a mutual settlement and wishes Ms. Ventura the best. Wow, so it's not admitting it. I gave you the money. So what is it admitting? You're doing it because she's hassling you, or you're doing it because you don't want the truth to come out? Okay, you paid her, so you're free. A week later, November 23rd, 2023, Diddy is accused of sexual assault by another woman. So days after settling his lawsuit with Cassie, Diddy was accused of sexual assault in a lawsuit filed in the Manhattan Supreme Court. A couple days later, according to the court documents obtained by People, a woman named Joy Dickerson Neal, she accused Diddy of drugging and raping her when she was a college student at Syracuse University in 1991. So a long time ago. Attorneys for Dickerson claimed she was a victim of revenge porn after the music mogul allegedly recorded the incident and shared the tape with others in the music industry. So at the time of the filing, which occurred as the New York State Adult Survivors Act window was about to close, Diddy denied the allegations, claiming Dickerson fabricated the story. And there was this New York State Adult Survivors Act, which the deadline, if I'm correct, was in November, and it could go back 30 years. So if you were sexually harassed or raped or anything feeling where it makes you a lesser person, then you can file it. So something happened in the 90s. You can file it now and go to trial. So a lot of people are doing that, and that's what's been happening. So he shared the tape with others in the music industry. So you wonder how many people knew about this. So the Survivors Act was about to close. And so Diddy's attorney said this last-minute lawsuit is an example of how a well-intentional law can be turned on its head. Ms. Dickerson's 32-year-old story is made up and not credible. Mr. Combs never assaulted her, and she implicates companies that do not exist. Got to see about that. Wow. November 23rd, 2023, Diddy faces a third sexual assault lawsuit. Wow. Man. So it's like every day he's got a lawsuit. That same day, and this is the same day, he was accused of sexual assault by a third woman, according to a lawsuit filed in New York County Supreme Court. In the lawsuit obtained by People, Jane Doe allegedly said that Diddy and a singer-songwriter, Aaron Hall, took turns raping her and a friend in New York more than 30 years ago. Aaron Hall, for some of you don't know, he was in a group called Guy. And if this is true, then they're coming after him too. She put this in the filing. Wow. So Diddy's lawyer said, these are fabricated claims falsely alleging misconduct from over 30 years ago and filed at the last minute. This is nothing but a money grab. Because of Mr. Combs' fame and success, he is an easy target, and maybe he is, some people say, for anonymous accusers who lie without conscience or consequences for financial benefit. A spokesman for Combs wrote in a statement to People. The spokesperson also added, the New York legislature surely did not intend or expect the Adult Survivors Act to be exploited by scammers. The public should be skeptical and not run to accept these bogus allegations. People attempted to contact Hall for comment, but he could not be reached. And he has to be known in the African American community. Has anybody tried to do a story on this? If people know that this is true, why haven't anybody done anything? November 28th, 2023, Diddy temporarily steps aside as Revolt chairman. So this is a hip-hop TV network, Revolt, which Diddy co-founded. And he said in a statement that he was going to step back. And the network said, Sean Combs will step down from his position as chairman of Revolt. While he's previously had no operational or day-to-day role in the business, this decision helps to ensure that Revolt remains steadfastly focused on our mission to create meaningful content for the culture and simplify the voices of all Black people throughout the country and the African diaspora. I've never heard of this company. So it's been around, and you're only as important as you think you know. December 6th, 2023. Diddy is accused of sex trafficking and gang rape by a fourth woman. Wow. In early December, Diddy was accused of sexual assault by a fourth victim in a lawsuit filed in New York. A woman under the name Jane Doe. She accused Diddy, former Bad Boy Entertainment president Harvey Pierre, and a third individual labeled as a third assistant of sex trafficking and gang rape when she was 17 years old. In a file entertained by People, Jane Doe claimed that Pierre approached her at a lounge in Michigan and convinced her to take a private jet with him and the third assailant to Combs' recording studio in New York. Once she arrived, she alleges she was given drugs and alcohol before being viciously gang raped, the lawsuit claimed. Pierre has not responded to People's request. On December 6th, he's probably tired of this now. December 6th, he speaks out about sexual assault allegations. People denied, or Diddy denied, the recent allegations against him in a statement to People, so it must be the current publication. Enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation and my legacy, he says. Be quiet. He added, sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth. So this is where it gets really hot. February 26, 2024. Diddy is accused of sexual assault by a record producer. On February 26, Rodney Lil Rod James, a former producer and videographer for Diddy, filed a lawsuit in New York federal court alleging that the rapper previously sexually harassed, drugged, and threatened him while he was working with Combs on his recent Love album from September 2022 to November 2023. Jones is seeking $30 million in damages. March 25th, this took place. Diddy's home was raided by federal agents, and the properties were raided by federal agents on March 25th. And that's where we're at now. And the filings, especially from Lil Rod, I think it's about 70 pages. And if you look at it, it's really thick. It is really thick. And it's got pictures in there too. It's very graphic. It tells a tale of Cuba Gooding and what he did. It mentions Usher, Justin Bieber, and some other celebrities. some people are trying to say, why aren't anybody saying anything about this? When is it going to hit the fan? I don't know. I just know that it's a very interesting set of situations that they're in. And I don't know if they know how they're going to get out of it. So it's just kind of crazy. How do you feel about that? Do you feel that this is something that will taint your feelings as far as Puff Daddy, Diddy? Will this make you go another way? Will you throw away your music? Will you say, okay, I am so through that I'm not going to think about him anymore? We've had our heroes tainted over the years. Dr. King. Haven't heard anything about Malcolm X. And if not heroes, I'm trying to work this right, people that we believe in. Bill Clinton. Barack Obama, I guess. R. Kelly. Man, everybody from the 90s now, not everybody, but a lot of the people from the 90s who we grew up, some of their music, what kind of world were they living in then? They really were living in a fast world. Is Sean Combs that big a person that, as you saw a couple clips where that anger, it took him out of control and he thought he was a power man? So, like I said, do you ever wonder, hey, you know what? Eventually these people are going to get caught because they get away with things. But my thing is, well, why is this person doing this thing and we're letting them get away with this anyway? That's the crazy thing about it. Why are we letting this person get away with it anyway? Wow. Nancy Grace is on the show, and she's talking blah, blah, blah about what's going on, because in her eyes, it seems like people are taking up for Sean Combs.
But when you get a federal indictment shoved up your rear end, it's kind of hard to get out of that with just talking. But this is what jurors may wonder, because this is what is being asked of me since the moment this hit the airwaves. Why would a guy worth over $1 billion bother to drug minors, some as young as 16 is the allegation, and video himself raping them when he could have practically any woman he wanted that were after fame and fortune? Now, see, to me, I don't care, but a juror may wonder that. What about it, Delatorre?
Well, because he can. I mean, ultimately, this is about the thrill that he was getting by exploiting and embarrassing all of these individuals. A lot of people talk about power and control, but these guys, who like to do these kinds of abuses like to have the power and control. But it's more than that when it comes to Diddy. I mean, we see things about violence and drugs and guns. As was described earlier, he's an equal opportunity abuser. This is a guy who thinks money, power, respect is the be all end all, that his word is the word that goes, and whatever it is that suits his fancy, that's what he's going to do. He's doing it because he has the money to do it, and he gets the thrill out of it. And this more important to him is getting the thrill rather than just having someone just come up to him and offer themselves. There's no fun in that for him. He wants to bring down and embarrass. He wants to abuse. He wants to inflict pain on individuals.
Okay, let me understand something, Dr. Delatorre, because obviously you have encountered this. I've encountered it while prosecuting, but so the thrill is drugging someone and raping them while they're totally knocked out, like Cosby. That's the thrill.
Yeah, that's the thrill. That's absolutely the thrill, especially if they're the ones that say no. The more they say no, the more they struggle against it, the harder that the abuser is going to go, the more thrill they get out of it.
I don't even like hearing you say that. But
That's true.
I
though.
get it. And that's what's going to have to be explained to a jury if this ever goes to a jury. Guys, in addition to investigative reporter Kayla Brantley, Shannon Henry from SAS, Dr. De La Torre, and high-profile lawyer, former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani. Oh, that reminds me of something, Nima.
So before she goes to that, let's talk about this allegations some more. February 2012. In the November 2023 suit, Ventura alleges that Combs said he was going to blow up the car of rapper Kid Cudi, whom Ventura was dating at the time. Wow. And that he wanted to ensure that Kid Cudi was home with his friends when it happened. Around that time, Kid Cudi's car did explode in his driveway. Kid Cudi, in a statement to the New York Times, collaborated that. Wow. 2013, Combs launches his cable news network, Revolt TV. I have never heard of it though. And he announces a new joint venture in January 8, 2014, where he becomes known for De Leon Tequila. Wow. 2015, Combs celebrates the 20th anniversary of Bad Boy Records. Okay. Forbes reports 2022 that he's a certified billionaire. Wow. Combs receives a Lifetime Achievement Award in June 2022. Where society is giving him all the props, but if he's hanging around certain people, don't certain people know that, wow, he's getting all of this? Everybody's scared to, stand up to him and everything, which is crazy. So now let's talk about some of the boxes that the feds were looking at.
I was about to go to Barry Golden. Hold on, Barry, former U.S. Marshal, and I'm telling you, they don't play. Nima, I was a Fed for 3 years, and I nearly jumped out of my skin because we would have, for instance, in a case I was working, we would have a whole room full of boxes of documents. And I'd be saying, well, when are we actually going to do something? When are we going to do the raid? When are we going to make the arrest? Because they're doing it right now. Why are we waiting? So I'm telling you, Nima, that the feds had some serious PC, probable cause, before they blast up in Combs's mansions.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And this is an investigation that's being run out of the Southern District of New York, probably the most prestigious prosecutor's office in the country. Yeah. They hire the brightest and the best. So just because the raids were executed in Los Angeles and Miami doesn't mean the investigation started here. It started in New York. So they know what they're doing. And Nancy, the feds wait until they have a made hand, a bulletproof, ironclad case before they go in. They have the luxury of waiting, of interviewing those witnesses, putting them before the grand jury. Because once you execute a search warrant like this, evidence starts to disappear, people may disappear. So this is the final step before people start getting arrested.
It's the culmination of months and months and months of working, if not longer. Combs may have been on their radar for a while, but these lawsuits basically shamed the feds into doing something. They couldn't hold back anymore. And see, they've got what I don't have. And I pray for it, Nima, because it's bit me in the rear end many a time. I don't have patience because, see, I'm thinking, hey, while I'm waiting to do something, he may be molesting another girl. He may be drugging another girl. And see, I'm thinking that, but they think the long game. The feds think the long game, which is it's a fault of mine not to play the long game. But they're right. If you want to win, you play the long game and you get every T crossed, every I dotted, then you move. Bottom line, when they move on you, it's too late for you. You're dead. It's over because they got the goods on you. they're just not going to make a move like this unless they've got a lot of evidence.
So if they're looking at the long game, that means they've been studying him for years and just waiting till the right opportunity. But as they've been studying him, how many people have been hurt? If you've been doing this, man, since the glory years of the 90s or early 90s or 2000s, maybe they've been letting him build up everything so then they can go after him, and maybe he's not the big fish and there's bigger fish, kind of like the Trump case, kind of like the R. Kelly case, kind of like the Jeff Epstein case. But you think, while they're sitting back and letting stuff build, kind of like what Nancy Grace said, how many people are being hurt from this? Wow. Again, the timeline. December 10th, 2023, last year, in response to the accusations, 18 brands severed ties. They severed ties, like, we're not doing this anymore, with Cohen's Black-owned e-commerce venture, Empire Global. December 11, 2023, a public petition started by feminist and survivor advocacy group Ultraviolet circulates, calling the Recording Academy to rescind Cohen's 2024 Grammy nomination for a progressive R&B album amid the sexual abuse allegations. Wow. December 11, 2023, the Recording Academy releases a statement in response to Diddy's Grammy nomination and the allegations. We are taking this matter very seriously, and we are in the process of evaluating it with the time and care that it deserves. Wow. January 12, 2024, Combs did not attend the Grammys. January 16, 2024, Diego and Combs resolved a legal lawsuit around marketing of products and officially end their working relationship. February 26, 2024, Little Rod. That's the fifth lawsuit. And again, March 25th, that's when the houses are raided. Wow, you got all these papers. If you look at the filing of the lawsuit, it's very graphic. I couldn't even read it all because it was too much in it. But if he's done what is alleged, and some of these other people in there have done what they're alleged to be doing, then they all should be held accountable. It makes you think, what kind of case is this?
Guys, joining me right now, a guy I know you want to hear from, former U.S. Marshal and owner now of Golden Consulting at golden-ci.com. Barry Golden, a significant portion of this case is criminal enterprise. Anybody jump in? We're not having high tea at Windsor Castle, please. Criminal enterprise, which means a plan. More than one person is involved. Even though this raid may have been sparked by multiple lawsuits against Combs, the feds have got to prove that there was a criminal enterprise and they're using claims of sex acts on other women, men in different states, traveling or moving the victims in order for them to have sex with Combs or other people. Explain why the aspect of asportation, in other words, movement, is important in this case.
Dear friend, in 2017, the U.S. military
And you're watching Keeping Our Eyes with yours truly, Anthony Parker, as we go through some of the commercials. And now we're back. Nancy Grace. Sean Combs. Come on.
Well, the conviction rate in the Southern District of Florida, I prosecuted cases through the U.S. Attorney's Office for several years, and the conviction rate in the Southern District of Florida was 98%. So yes, you are right.
Ouch.
When they bring the federal government, the U.S. Attorney's Office brings an indictment, if they do, they have a lot of ammunition on you. As Nima just mentioned, that a federal judge already found probable cause that there is evidence to conduct these searches at the homes here in Miami and in New York. But yes, you're going to have numerous witnesses. I think that this case is going to still take a long time because you have so much evidence. You have to bring in all these people. Rodney Jones, he can only testify to what he witnessed and what happened to him. You have to bring in other witnesses that these alleged sex acts occurred with. And so,
Wow, so look at this mansion. It's just one of the mansions. So that means supposedly he had a lot of parties there and a lot of people. And if he had a lot of parties and there were a lot of people, and some of these may have been celebrities, politicians, they've got a lot as far as moralistically that they're keeping to themselves.
so you're going to have to find these witnesses, interview these witnesses, bring them in, lock them into a statement, and then put all that into an indictment. So I think you're still months away from seeing an indictment, but there's so much information that you're looking at here. You just look at the civil complaint by Rodney Jones, and it's very long. There's so much information there. There are so many allegations. There's a lot of information, but the HSI going in, the attorney was complaining about so many agents. Look at that compound right there. Look how big that mansion is. You need a lot of manpower, and with the allegations of firearms being at that location.
So look at that house right now, or as they call it, not just a mansion, but a compound. That is really a big place. You got the houses right there. You got some there. I wonder if there's any more right there. So when the feds came, they're not going to let you know they're coming, because how can they do their job? And my thing is that they find some stuff. We haven't heard about that yet, but have they found stuff and they're just keeping it not honest or simple or real, but they're keeping it quiet, close to their vest, maybe trying to get some people to talk so they won't go to jail? Are they trying to get just Puffy, or are they trying to get other people involved?
You never know how someone's going to react when, as a federal agent, you come in there and you take control of their residence. You don't know how they're going to react. So you have to have a lot of manpower and a lot of bodies to secure that location so a search can be conducted. So they had to go.
Put him up, please.
So that's the area view. And I mean, we see stuff, but is it as big as what they say? I guess you'd have to be there.
Hey, Barry Golden, I got one word for you.
Yes.
Waco. Waco.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
The feds move in.
I do. Yes.
Koresh gets all of his followers, who were all many of them molesting little girls in their religion. They fire on the feds and everything goes wild. And I still remember seeing the video of the flames and the standoff and the shootout when feds moved in. And I got to tell you something. I've been on many searches and arrests pursuant to warrant, of course, and people don't take to it very kindly. If they can reach a gun, you're in trouble. End of story. Here's another thing we see going on too. Kayla Brantley joining us, investigative reporter, Daily Mail. We know that Combs's alleged drug mule was arrested at the Miami airport. At the same time, Combs's rapper sons were put in cuffs during the raids on the mansions.
So that's interesting. The drug mule, and I think they'll tell a little bit more about that. The feds had everything orchestrated right. They had the feds at the houses, and they had the fed following a drug mule. So, I mean, they say indictment, you can indict a ham sandwich, so I don't know what that means. But as far as this case, they're saying this could go on for a long time. If you get so many people at these parties involved, some celebrities, some politicians, all sick people, and messing around with people they shouldn't be messing around, that's really crazy. So this case will be going on for a while.
Who is the alleged drug mule? It's very significant because the feds are going to be looking for witnesses, and this alleged mule could do life in max, or he could rat out Combs. What do you think he's going to do? Tell me about the drug mule, the alleged drug mule. Brandon Paul, age 25.
Yeah, so 25-year-old Brendan Paul, he was arrested Monday as these raids went on. He was arrested at a Miami airport, and he was about to board Combs's plane to what was believed to be going to the Caribbean. Now, when the authorities checked his bags, they found cocaine and laced candy. And so they arrested him for that. They said that it's not an arrest directly involved in the raids. However, Homeland Security did send officers there to check out Combs.
So right there, you get to see a good picture of the compound. So it's big right there. Then this little one right there got a nice pool. And I don't know if any of this is that or not.
Combs' plane. Now, this was a guy from Ohio. He played college basketball. We're not exactly sure how he became involved with Diddy, but according to the lawsuit filed last month from producer Little Rod, he was Diddy's alleged drug mule.
Everything orchestrated. They have had to get something out of this. I wonder what the other place looked like. What do you believe? Sean Combs? Is he involved with the sex trafficking? And for some people who don't know what that is, let's find out.
Okay, so now we're looking at sex trafficking. And to you, Shannon Henry, to make out, joining us from SAS, which is Surviving Assault, Standing Strong, to make out sex trafficking is not as hard as people think. Explain what it means to sex traffic someone.
Well, the way that people are trafficked, they look for a vulnerable population, whether they're young, they're in a hard season of their life, they're looking for fame, they're looking to make it big. Whatever it is, they're going to use coercion, they're going to force them with threats and stalking and violence to repay a debt, whatever it may be. And we certainly see that here in Cassie's story as well as the others. So you've got this isolation that's happening, this coercion, this power. And then the most powerful weapon of all is shame, because on top of all of this, you've got video of everything, and they can shame them into complicity and being quiet. And silence is ultimately the biggest evil. And I agree, bringing these people forward, giving witnesses the ability to testify will ultimately be what really brings down the entire playbook. And let's not forget that Fahim Muhammad is also who is helping behind the scenes with all of this as Diddy's director of security. And he worked previously for Michael Jackson.
Wow, that's quite the coinky-dink, huh? Nima Rahmani is joining us. Nima, now high-profile lawyer and the president of West Coast Trial Lawyers, but important for me, former federal prosecutor. What about this? Nobody likes to rat out a friend, right? Snitches get stitches and all that. But there's one guy, 50, from G Unit rapper, 50 Cents.
So while they're talking about 50, and from what I gather, 50 isn't a fan of Sean Combs. Some people are talking about him now. Some people are kind of taken up for him. They're kind of uncomfortable. So the ones that have known him for years, like Usher and other celebrities, they're kind of not seeing anything, which is interesting.
Who has been mocking Diddy for a long time. In fact, when this all went down, he states, it's not did Diddy do it, it's Diddy done it, because they don't come after you until they got a case. That's him, and he's going on and on and on. Why do I care? Because he may have inside information, not just him, but Usher, even Bieber. Justin Bieber. And I'm not saying any of them are responsible for any wrongdoing. I'm saying that they obviously have been around during some, let me just say, Combs's antics.
And here's where it gets interesting too. Here we go. Sean Combs right there. So we know some of the people that he's been around over the years, and it could have been from the 90s to today. Again, people have been questionable. So right there, how many people can you tell me? How many people think, well, J-Lo's been quiet. Did he do any of this while he was with J-Lo? Penny from the block. Was she quiet back then because she wanted to stay on the block and get famous? Wow. Another person. Are you guilty by association? So here's a guy that has power, but does he have as much power as Diddy? Dr. Dre. There we go. Living the high life. Sorry. Not Dr. Dre. They live in the high life. Power. Absolute power. Man. My mind just went blank on who that is. Hopefully I get it by the time it's over. In this allegations, a little ride, you're here about association with Usher. He was with Usher when he was very young. Cuba Gooding Jr., he's been hanging with Diddy, and the allegations is pretty disgusting. Cassie right here, I think after she filed that and he gave her money, it just blew up. Wow, man. So I'm gonna tell you some of the people that he's been known to be around, okay, over the years. Lil' Kim, Rick Ross, they've been collaborators for years. In 2023, their friendship made some headlines as Diddy sent a fellow rapper a golf cart as a housewarming gift after Ross's move to Miami. DJ Khaled. Back in 2017, Instagram users will remember the 2017 jet ski debacle featuring Khaled riding over to Diddy's, and he got stuck. I'm okay. I made it to Diddy's house, he said, after multiple videos recounting the near emergency. In 2022, Diddy honored his lovable friend at Khaled's 47th birthday party. I appreciate you loving me as a friend. You was king down here in Miami, and look at you now. God did, Diddy said. Their friendship has continued, and Diddy even gifted Khaled with a golf cart in April 2023. Justin Bieber. Fans resurfaced a video in March 2024 that showed a 15-year-old Bieber hanging out with Diddy for 2 days, 48 hours. Where we were hanging out and what we were doing, we really can't disclose, he said. But it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. Wow. So let me see. What was I as a 15-year-old? What was my dream? To go to a Diddy party? Wow. Mariah Carey. Puffy will be shining my shoes in 2 years. Wow. She was referring to Diddy's former moniker, Puff Daddy. It was one of the very few times I stood up to Tommy, telling him that what he had said was blatantly racist. I was pissed, excuse me. Usher. So it's interesting. I don't know how many people knew this, but Usher lived with Diddy. Okay, here we go. Usher lived with Diddy. Wow. He says, I got a chance to see things. I don't know if I can indulge and even understand what I was looking at. He said the place was filled with chicks and partying nonstop. Wow. Will Smith, we know him. He rolled around with the Diddy years. Wow. So they ruled the rap scene. Go back in the 90s, okay? And when Smith hit Chris Rock, Diddy kind of came to the defense. If you remember, after Smith went up there and hit Chris Rock, I think not Chris. I think not Will. I think that Diddy was the first or second person to come up after Chris and that smack. I remember it though, because Diddy says this. I just want to say, let's make some noise for Amy Schumer, Regina Hall, and Wanda Sykes, the rapper said during the awards ceremony, referring to the show's host. I didn't think they were that good. But he says, gotta give it up for Wanda. I did not know that this year was going to be the most exciting Oscars ever. Had nothing to do with Wanda. But he added, which I did like, okay, Will and Chris, we're going to solve that like family at the gold party, okay? But right now, we are moving on with love. Everybody make some noise. And then Ashton Kutcher. It started over Punk because he's like, yo, you can't punk me. I was like, I don't know what to tell you. Everybody's on the table. So that started our conversation. Okay. And they became fast friends. But you look at some of these people who are friends of when this blows up, it's going to blow up. I'm just telling you. We have to be prepared, or maybe we're just used to this now. Because what are the chances that you think that this isn't going to blow up? I think we're going to see, because I'll be surprised if it doesn't get worse. I will be so surprised. So those are some of the people who are involved with this. And you ever get a chance to read that? It's like a book. Little Rod, what he talks about. I'm telling you, it is crazy. Big time.
Because when Bieber was asked when he was a teen boy, hey, what happened when you were hanging out with Combs? He said, well, I can't say, but it's every 15-year-old boy's dream. Okay. Usher has publicly stated that he saw some, quote, very curious things when hanging out with Combs. And you've got Fitty making jokes at Diddy's expense. Explain. They could turn up to be witnesses.
Oh, no question. And, 50 Cent and Diddy's feud is pretty well documented.
And it is documented too. But Usher and Living with P. Diddy. Puff introduced me to a totally different set of blank, sex specifically. There was always girls around. You'd open the door and see somebody doing it, or several people in a room having an orgy. This is what he said, Rolling Stone 2004. So who knows how long all of this has been happening.
Documented. 50's actually working on a documentary about all this. But Nancy, this may well be a Jeff Epstein type situation. We know Cuba Gooding Jr., he's already been named in a civil lawsuit. Prince Harry's name has been mentioned. And Diddy rubs shoulders with rich and powerful people here in Los Angeles and all over the world. So the question is going to be, who was there? What did they see? What did they do? And I wouldn't be surprised if more and more names start being leaked that are people that, are very well known, that either are witnesses or even worse, participated in some of these sex acts.
Whoop is my favorite tool for assessing.
So wow. And you've heard Nancy Grace collaborate some of the things that I've talked about.
This is on a small scale. You go to an event, you go to a party, you see one teen drinking, leave. You see one teen with a joint, leave. Because if you stay, then you're part of it. You become part of it, whether you do anything wrong or not. You're there. You are part of it. It's called being a co-defendant. Speaking of Usher, take a listen to what Usher had to say.
And you heard me say it through the paper. She said it through the paper. Now let's hear Usher.
We're sending you
New
over
York
to
City.
something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn some.
Camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's what it
Camp.
was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In
to.
the 90s, do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I
Come
mean,
on.
but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you
I
seeing?
went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild. It was,
So nobody.
So there you go in Usher's words. He said he saw a lot of things going on, too much for a kid. Some people even said they were trying to groom him. We don't know how much of this is true. Only time will tell, but we have a lot of people that are collaborating some of these stories.
Okay, he went on to say that you'd open a door and there would be people in that room, multiple women and men having orgies, a totally different set of sex, specifically always girls around. This was when he was 13. Now, you're hearing Usher speaking to Howard Stern and being very, very candid. Stern has the ability to get people to drop their guard and speak as they would as if they were speaking to a longtime friend in the privacy of their home, as you saw right there. And I'm just wondering if, as this case goes forward to Barry Golden, former U.S. Marshal, if we're going to see more people that are high profile being forced, pursuant to subpoena, to speak out.
Wow. And that's going to be the thing. Are you going to see some of these entertainers, some of these politicians speak out and maybe admit that they were a part of this? Could be somebody else, kind of like the Jeffrey Epstein list. People waiting for that list to come out. And it came out and it wasn't as explosive as everybody thought. But with this one, you've got people going to court trying to sue, trying to get money. And they're making this very graphic. So I'm curious if Epstein and Diddy ever got together and did a big party or went back and forth, or did some of the people who went to the Epstein party also go to the Usher party? What will happen if some of these people do speak out?
Well, yes, when you read in some of these civil lawsuits, you see that there are allegations that there are other people, other witnesses that were there at the time when these alleged criminal acts occurred. So now the U.S. Attorney's Office is going to have to find those people, interview those people, and then get these people to be willing to testify against Sean P. Diddy Combs, this person who is a mega superstar with millions and millions or billions of dollars. And now they have to be able to stand up and face him in court and say, he did this, this, and this. The U.S. Attorney's Office is going to have to find these people and bring these people in and be willing to testify against a mega superstar.
And people very often, I hate to say, don't come forward out of the goodness of their heart. They have to be forced. In other words, you have to threaten them with unnamed co-conspirator status. It's going to be tough. Exactly who is the government and these alleged victims up against? Take a listen to our Cut One, Rachel Bonilla, Crime Online.
Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, and Brother Love, is credited with the development of several big-name hip-hop artists, including Notorious B.I.G., Mary J. Blige, and Usher. Diddy's own music career is just as impressive, with 11 #1 singles, 14 nominations, and 3 Grammy Awards. In addition to Combs' label, Bad Boy Records, the rap mogul co-founds the network Revolt TV and hosts several businesses under the umbrella company Combs Global. At Forbes' last estimate, Combs had a net worth of roughly $1 billion.
You're seeing Rolling Stone and Billboard Combs has been on the cover of practically every major music-related magazine. He's a superstar. Will these alleged victims stand up against Combs? $1 billion at the last estimate. We wait as justice unfolds.
Wow, man, what do you think? $1 billion. $1 billion. That is what he is worth. So much power, so much money. Man, makes you think when you start out innocent. You let it get to you, and you are in your own head, king of the world. We've seen people with money, we've seen people with power, and we've seen the fall. Is he guilty of anything? Is he guilty of just being a rude, arrogant, charismatic, powerful person? And at the end of the day, you want to do things that will make your kids proud. But from what we gather, his kids are involved with this. And when I was reading the report on this, like I said, it's about 70-some pages, very graphic. Some of the celebrities, it makes me turn away from people I've liked, people I've enjoyed, the music, when they're doing things spiritual and they're doing these things on the side. Was it something recent or was it something decades ago? What this is going to open up to, because there are allegations that he might have put a hit on Tupac. The one guy that's in jail now says that Combs had was supposed to pay him $1 million to do a hit on Tupac. He says he killed him, but he never got the money. What about Biggie? Some people said he had something to do with Biggie. Back in the 90s, you had Suge Knight, you had Snoop, you had all these high-profile rappers, East Coast, West Coast. And Diddy was one great marketeer, knew how to be on every album, every video, standing back, letting people know this is my company, this is me. Was it something that he grew into? Because he had all these names, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Love. What happened to Sean Combs? He made these songs, I'm Coming Home, which was a great song. I'll Be Watching You, which was a great song. And some cool, fast songs back in the 90s. You have a lot of celebrities now who he has known and has helped produce. Did they ever come to those parties? And if they did, was a non-disclosure thing that they had to fill out? How many of these celebrities over the past 20-something years can come and say, well, this is what I think he did? Or, I'm not going to say because I did it too. We just heard from Usher. We hear 50 or 50. When you do something so bad, but yet people know that you've done good things, does that erase the good things you've done? Moralistically, I think it does. Can you still watch Bill Cosby? Can you still watch Bill Clinton? Can you listen to R. Kelly? Can you watch Cuba Gooding Jr.? Blah. When you find out they've done some of these gross things and disgusting things to people. When you're sex trafficking, when you're doing underage, when you're doing same-sex, having people watch, and there's a lot of stories that I put through here that Puff Daddy is really accused of. So I tell people, you're both sides of the story, you're all sides. I try to give some good stuff, played the music a little bit, brought you back to what Puffy was. But who is he now? You have any questions or comments? You can email yours truly as parkerman2011@gmail.com, parkerman2011@gmail.com. You can text me 216-702-3718, 216-702-3718. Tell your friends. Like us. Subscribe to us. If you have any show ideas that you like to see, let me know. Again, we try to give you the left side, we try to give you the right side, and at the end of the day, we hope you decide. It may be stuff you may not want to hear or believe in, but hopefully it's the truth. So, you've been watching Sean Combs, Come On Home. Okay? And in closing, is he a religious man? Can he be a religious man? Well, do you think he's a Christian? Do you think he's a Baptist? What do you think he is? What do you think he is? I am trying to find this right now. But remember, don't have a hero. Be a hero. So his religious views. He was raised Catholic and was an altar server as a boy. In 2008, he told the Daily Telegraph that he does not adhere to any specific religious denomination. He said, I just follow right from wrong so I could pray in a synagogue or a mosque or a church. I believe that there is only one God. And as we deal with the situation, excuse me, and especially Sean Combs and friends, let's pray for them that there is the right God. I'm Anthony Parker Alexander. Keep your head up, never look down, always believe in yourself, and therein will lie your answer. Keep it simple, keep it real, and especially keep it honest. God bless.